Hello, everyone here on YouTube, and welcome to this next episode, this really special episode of Connection Over Coffee with me, Phil McAuliffe, the Loneliness Guy. Today in this episode, we're joined by my friend Andrew Reid, who wrote an awesome blog post about being gay in a straight marriage. Andrew, how are you feeling right now before we jump in?
I'm not feeling too bad, thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to admit that I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling nervous because there's so much of your story that is almost verbatim as mine. Having been in being married for almost 17 years. So I'm just going to take a big deep breath, I don't know, like I can see some tissues over there out of view, excellent. Well, that's not good for me. I'll just reach in and take a tissue from that box. But yeah, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Excellent. So, viewer, are you ready to go? Have you got your coffee? You ready to sort of get settled in for a cracking, what I just know will be a cracking chat. All right, let's do it. All right. Hey, welcome to Connection Over Coffee with me, Phil McAuliffe, the Loneliness Guy. Today, we're going to have a great chat with my friend Andrew Reid about what it's like to be gay in a straight relationship, in a straight marriage, and what that means in terms of loneliness. So say hi, Andrew.
Hello there, how you doing?
Really well, just so chuffed that you're here. But before we get into all of this, I need to say that this podcast contains content relating to the mental, emotional, and physical well-being of gay men. If that's going to offend you or anyone in earshot, now's the time for you to go. But with all of that said, if you're down for an absolutely cracking chat, why don't you and Andrew go get us a table and I'll go get the coffee sorted. Right. This bit will be edited out and sound of coffee being made, but, strategic sip.
Yeah. Can't see what's going on there.
You've run out.
I have.
Run out pre-chat. All right. Here you go. Now, if this is the first time that you've joined me for coffee and Connection Over Coffee, I want to say hi and welcome. And you're probably very familiar right now with you're experiencing right now some very uncomfortable thoughts and feelings about loneliness just by merely engaging with this content. The simple act of pressing play on this podcast or on YouTube. I want to say that is the stigma of loneliness, where loneliness has us feeling some really terrible feelings and thinking some really awful thoughts at times. And it can take great courage to simply acknowledge that we're feeling lonely, that we do feel lonely, and then do something about it towards getting the authentic connection that we need. The simple act of pressing play reflects the courage that you have. And so I want to celebrate that and just let you know how proud I am of you. If this is a return time that you've joined me for coffee, I want to say hi and welcome back. It's simply awesome to see you. And I really do appreciate you coming back and engaging on the topic of loneliness, and specifically on this on the topic of loneliness and being gay in a straight marriage. So, Andrew, I want to say hello. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for having me, Phil.
And we've read your amazing blog post, which was published on the Loneliness Guy blog last week. And I'm going to ask one thing first. How did that feel to write that down?
How did it feel? It was, look, to be honest, it was difficult to start. I think it was difficult to start, but once I got going and, started reliving, and not reliving so much, but started to sort of put my thoughts down, it became so easy, and it all came back to me so easily. And I felt I was able just to keep on going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was almost liberating to be able to write it down.
Yeah. So that was the first time you'd written it down.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, this, like the whole content that you shared, if I was like an English teacher at school, I don't know if, like, I wasn't going to go circles, like, this agreement was not right. No. I would have been doing, down the right-hand side margin, like ticks, like yes, all the while thinking, oh my God, I could have written this. This could have been my story too.
Yeah.
And there's so many things in there that I want to sort of have a chat today with, because I know that there are so many men who are gay, who lived part of their life, or indeed possibly still are living in a straight marriage. And I don't want to say that there's a particular kind of loneliness that comes with it, because I think loneliness is a unique experience within all of us, and has kind of like molds itself to our own experience. So we all feel loneliness in our own way, but we know that loneliness is just simply horrible.
Well, I think in touching on that, I know that I'm not the first person, not the first married guy to come out to my wife, and I certainly won't be the last. But all the while, that whole time, I felt like I was the only one. So I felt very alone with that, and I had to sort of navigate this by myself, with no support. And maybe there is support out there, but at that time, you actually feel like you're the only person experiencing this, and it's never been done before. It's unheard of, and everyone's going to be talking about you and all that type of thing. Yeah.
This is, yes. I can certainly like wholeheartedly agree from my perspective as well. And it's particularly, that's one of the points that really got me here, like right in the very core of my being, and not necessarily gave me flashbacks to that loneliness, but also a very poignant reminder of that feeling of being so utterly alone, and not wanting it to be so.
Yeah. Exactly. And like in your mind, you know that you're not the first person.
Yeah.
But you just can't sort of, it's the truth, but you can't sort of understand that to be the truth, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so, if there's just the most minute possibility that you can help somebody else navigate their way through it, then that's fantastic. That's a goal. Like that would be an absolute goal, to be able to help at least one person to understand the feelings and thoughts that you may have at that time are shared by so many others.
Yeah. And there's power in that. There's connective power in that within building a community.
Yeah.
But also, I'm going to ask, how has the connection to you changed?
The connection of what specifically there, though? Sorry.
So the connection to thoughts and feelings within you, like, did that did that change as a result of you writing those beautiful words that you've shared on my blog?
It's not it's not even 2 years that I came out.
Yeah.
And I think for the best part of that 2 years, or close to 2 years, it is certainly, there's been lots of emotions and feelings and thoughts that I still don't sit well with me. And, and I'm working through those. But I feel as though, I actually do feel as though having written those words, expressing them on paper, it's given me the opportunity to sort of, take charge a little bit, and if that makes sense. It might not make sense, but for me, it's almost as if it's, I own it now. I can reconcile it in myself and go, it's okay.
Makes complete sense. Absolute complete sense. And you're right. And this is something that I want to explore a little bit as well, like reading through your words. And I shared this with you over the last few days, as we sort of prepared ourselves to have this chat. And what came to me reading through your well, frankly, your beautiful words, like they were absolutely, and I'm not having any of this shit about, no, they were beautiful, right? And I just had this really strong image within myself, and we talked offline about how I'm very visual and stuff, but I had this very powerful image in my mind of the myth, the fable, the Greek myth of Pandora's box, and the feeling that the sort of reckoning with the sexuality, reckoning with your sexuality, reckoning with my sexuality, is akin to having Pandora's box while we're in a straight relationship, in a straight marriage, and it's on the desk, and it sort of says, beguiling things about open me, and you're like, oh no, I can't, I shouldn't. But as the years go on, the whispering sort of becomes louder at times, and then kind of fades away, and then it becomes louder yet and fades away, louder yet, fades away, and it gets to a point where the risk of not opening the box is worse than opening the box. But we open the box, and we admit that we're gay and risk what that means to the relationship. How did you, remembering that Pandora's box, all this shit comes out, it's horrible, lots of terrible stuff happens, but at the bottom of Pandora's box, when all of that has flown out, remains hope.
Yeah.
How did you open your Pandora's box?
Well, let me take a step back if I can, okay, and just say I remember getting to the point where, if you align it, with Pandora's box, and you go, these curiosities and these temptations have just become louder and louder that you want to open that box. I guess I remember being at the gym. Actually, I can remember specifically being at the gym, sitting there on the machine, and it was the lat pull down, actually. I remember. And I remember just sort of looking around the gym and going, could I actually lose this whole scenario that I've got here? And what I mean by scenario was my life, like avid gym goer, business owner, family, the things that I had built, my house, my possessions, all of these types of things. And I just remember at that point thinking, this is just all, like, it's going to be too much. I can't do this. I can't possibly lose these things. The most important thing to me actually at the time, and first and foremost in my mind, was to lose my wife. Because, and it was such simple things such as, the smell of her, the perfume, or just being so naturally free to move around and do as I did each day and know that I was loved and supported, to facing absolute loneliness and solidarity. That was what was almost crushing for me. But you do get to the point where, you have to be true to yourself, and, you spend so long in a miserable state. Well, this is the way, for me, I'm talking about myself here.
Yeah.
In such a miserable state that you actually just bring those people that love you, you're bringing them down too, because they see your pain, and they want to help you, and the fact that they can't makes them sad, makes them miserable. So, yeah, while you do it for yourself, you're also understanding that you're doing it for the people that you love. You're also setting them free in a way, which sounds really silly, but it's for me, it was the truth. How did I continue to find that hope at the end of the box? Look, I think it's continuing. I don't think we're ever fully there. I certainly, all those bad negativity, all that flies out, and you do try to search for hope at the bottom. And I do think that it is there. It's just a continuous, not struggle. I don't think struggle is the right term, but it's just a continuous journey.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is life. It's continuous lifing, really. Where, and how, like, my mind is going like a million miles an hour right now. And there's a couple of things from your blog post that I really kind of want to explore some more.
Yeah.
But first of all, I want to say, because I know I'm well familiar, and this harks back to the beginning of the episode, the beginning of every episode, when I'm saying, hi to the listener and the viewer, that, I admire the courage and stuff. And this is not a throwaway line. This is not a throwaway line, because I'm also intimately familiar with the courage that it takes to accept what is within ourselves. I want to say clearly and with an absolute conviction how proud I am of you.
Thank you.
Because, pardon?
I appreciate it.
I know that it's one thing to have the courage to do something different in life when you realize that you've got yourself into a position where, for things to change, things really need to change, and that change affects lots of other people.
Yeah.
It's quite another thing as well to share that.
Yeah.
Right now, like, I'm just full of nothing but love and gratitude, because what you did is really hard.
Yeah.
But knowing, as we do, that no one's alone ever in the thoughts and feelings, that they're, no one, we're never the first person in the history of the universe to think these thoughts and feel these feelings. I simply know right now, and I was just saying this just in case I don't get to it in the rest of our chat, that your words will help
That's that's fantastic if that happens, and I do believe that it will help at least one person.
Yeah. You and I, like in communicating over the last few days, have said that this is the post. This is the chat now, which certainly I would have wished for. When and so I want to sort of with that kind of lens applied to now the conversation, I want to sort of go back into time. So where you were in your marriage, and you wrote some really powerful words about learning when you were gay, or suspecting when you were gay. Do you want to take us there?
Yeah. So it was obviously a long time ago, and I just remember feeling as though everybody that knew me, all my friends and family and colleagues, and they just all, at the time it would have been schoolmates rather than colleagues, I guess. But I just had this feeling that everybody assumed that I was gay, or at the very least different. And I think I just tried exceptionally hard to, one, not appear to be gay, and two, to remove myself, just to make myself invisible to everybody else, because I didn't want anyone to notice me. Just, be that wallflower, or be that person that just takes one step back, and I still do in some ways now, let other people shine. And I'm more than happy to be that person to let other people shine. But in my case back then, it was more, I just wanted to be completely irrelevant and not have anyone notice me, because I didn't want to be found out.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be, and because I was from the country as well, well, not from a regional area, I just wanted to. I didn't want anyone to notice, and I didn't want to stand out, essentially.
Yeah. It's interesting. You and I grew up really close to each other.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So you were on the I was about to say the wrong side of the border, but as someone who then spent much of my life on that side of the border, it became the right side of the border.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Well, actually, you know what? To be fair, I am actually South Australian, so I have lost my Adelaide accent now, but I am actually South Australian, proud South, by the way.
Radelaide.
Look, I can't have a bad word said about Adelaide. I can't.
Well, this has been a lovely chat. Thank you so much for joining us. It was all going so well until you outed yourself as a South Australian. Hello to the awesome listeners and viewers in the great state of South Australia. But here in Canberra, I enjoy getting your weather a day after you. But I want to say, as the crow flies, like where you are now and where I was born is probably about 150 k's.
Not far at all.
Yeah. So like an hour and a half's drive.
Yeah.
And then I went to boarding school, down the highway from where you are now. And a whole lot of friends, both at school and at university, come from Wangaratta. Wangaratta, Benalla, and indeed my family, when they moved from Ireland in the 1850s, settled in and around Glenrowan and Greta. Yeah. So I know, and it's just weird. It blows my mind that our stories so intertwine. But what I want to sort of point on at this time, this is the early 90s.
Mm.
that we're, you know, that we're growing up in. And pardon me. And it wasn't necessarily like there were very few positive gay role models.
Yeah.
And, you know, those who were, you know, outwardly gay on TV were, you know, like the entertainment reporters on the midday show or something like that. And, you know, I'm thinking, what was his name? John Michael Housen or something. And yeah. And then there were, you know, the people who, you know, like to be gay was to get AIDS.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, which, you know, a death sentence.
Yeah.
And, you know, and fed along by, you know, popular culture of, you know, dominated by homophobia.
Yeah.
Your concept here of wanting to be a small target, wanting to be invisible, and wanting to be, what was the word? Irrelevant.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, listener. I don't know about you, viewer, if you've been in this situation, but for me, that got me right in the heart.
Mm.
That expression is beautiful. And I feel that at some point, all of us have wanted to make ourselves a small target at some point. What, in your view, Andrew, was the impact of wanting to be visible, wanting to make yourself irrelevant?
The impact on me?
Yeah.
I think I actually, to be completely honest with you, I think it's actually something that it still burdens me now. I think it's something that whether it's not that you don't feel worthy, maybe, or whether it's you know, you carry that through and you kind of go, you know, it's sort of hard to explain, I guess. It is almost as if you don't feel worthy still, and you let that sort of still carry through now, and for me, and I'm talking for me, obviously.
Yeah.
I still feel as though sometimes it still, you know, inhibits my ability to love myself, and that has obviously has detrimental effects on loving the people around you or allowing those other people around you to love you. Yeah. So sometimes, yeah, that what I did to myself then in my mind is still burdening me now.
Yeah. Yeah. How does that feel?
It's a realization, speaking of, actually.
I
don't think I quite realized until that moment when I was trying to articulate them and say, maybe that's a carryover from then. Do you know?
Yeah.
So again, I would probably stress, Phil, by saying, if this chat that you and I have now over coffee helps one person, then, you know, fantastic. You know, that one person that can listen to the words and go, you don't need to be invisible. You don't need to be irrelevant. You know, be you, and everything will be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, then that's fantastic.
It's interesting, as you were saying that, I, you know, was listening to you. I'm looking at you, and seeing you reckon within yourself.
Yeah.
with the discomfort.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, and I know this to be true, that you are worthy.
Well, thank you. And if I can sort of draw a line to something else with that, is I think, you know, when you're feeling lonely and when you're feeling worthless, I guess, and you know, insecure and insignificant and irrelevant, you know, what you want to do then is try to change that and you know, provide, or, you know, give yourself some confidence. And I think that's why I started to go to the gym, for example. And you know, that's, you know, I just felt like, oh, you know, I could do, it became my place to be able to just be me and not have to worry about anyone else, and not have, and almost not let me think that anyone else is, you know, and God, the gym of all places where you think you're not going to be judged. You know, it's probably the most judgmental place. But for me, my place to go to, so I wasn't being judged, and I could try to transform myself almost to be somebody else, and almost that person that's so not gay, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
is it a case of not being judged, or is it a case of controlling how you're judged?
yeah, the latter probably. Yeah.
Yeah, that certainly resonates with me as well.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I asked the question. And I'm thinking back to the Velvet Reeds. The Velvet Rage by Alan Reid, and a fantastic book about what it's like growing up gay, and how growing up gay, essentially in a straight world, can affect us. And it's really common. It's really common for us to, in order to prove that we're worthy to ourselves, we seek to excel in various fields.
Yeah.
Be that in business, be that you know, in art, be that in whatever it is, that we're you know, seeking to prove our worth. And that could actually drive us to drive humans, but drive gay men in this particular instance to do great things, to achieve great things. But until we actually can sit within ourselves and with love, after years of berating ourselves, of being wrong, and years of wanting to make ourselves a small target around the thing that we're most sensitive about, until we can do that with a whole shitload of self-love, you know, we are at risk of like those thoughts and feelings of not being worthy enough. Just, you know, we could be running at a full canter and they just sort of lazily trot along beside us, keeping right up there with us until we sit there and essentially do the work.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is that you are, present progressive tense, doing the work.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Which is awesome. Again, speaks to courage. And you mentioned the gym, and you know, evidently you work out, and evidently very fit. And how you know, I just want to explore that some more. You know, in your blog post, you said that was like your happy place, and indeed you created your own home gym.
Yes.
Which in this period of lockdown, I'm extremely jealous.
I'm the envy of others at the moment.
And yeah,
to be the envy of others.
no, wear it proudly, I say. Yeah, I am very much missing lifting heavy things. But what I feel that, you know, this is common, really, or not otherwise. This is common for gay men, you know, closeted gay men, to use the gym as a safe way to engage with other men. And that doesn't have to be in a sexual way, but, you know, it creates that opportunity to be with other men. And you found your like that kind of connection on an app.
Yeah.
You shared in the blog post.
Yeah.
What was that for you? What was that like for you?
That was fantastic. That was fantastic acceptance, because I threw myself into going to the gym, and I apart from the fact that I enjoyed working out, it became quite social. Well, not super social, because I was still focused on doing the gym work, and it also meant that you know, when I built my own home gym, which is way over the top, but when I did build that, I did you know, it became a place of solitude that I didn't have other people there to train with. So it was about doing the weights then. But yes, there was an app which I joined, which was all based. It was like a social media app for gym goers, and it was everybody like-minded, male, female. But I guess what happened was you sort of went to the people that were similar to you somehow, and it had a messaging. It was like a social media wall, and you had, you know, you posted either your stats or your the weight you lifted, or whatever it is that you did, and you connected with other people, very like-minded people, and that was such a great experience for me to be able to have all these, as I said in the blog post, I had all these virtual friends, and for that moment at that time, I wasn't sort of irrelevant or invisible, which is so strange because it's all virtual. But at that time, you know, I felt like, not that I was popular, but I had a voice. You know, people wanted to talk to me. I wanted to talk to them. You know, so that was really nice. It was a really great outlet.
Yeah, that's so popular comment aside, because I'm not taking that. But one of the great things, I was on that app, was that it was a place to be seen, to be heard, and to belong.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know, I'll question, you know, whether popular, but a place of where you felt like you belong.
Yeah, popular is not the right term, I admit, but it was nice to be, to belong. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Belong to Robert, yeah.
And in that sense, you know, social media can be good.
It can be, yeah, it can be. It, for the here and now, yes.
Yeah.
In that scenario, yes, it was.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you close that app down, you know,
there you are.
Off. So that's where that loneliness would sort of creep back in again. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And certainly for me, you know, that was, you know, the point in your blog post about closing the app down, and there would be still, rang very true for me. And in that way, you know, the apps are, you know, intoxicating.
Yeah.
And which goes to my point of, you know, sort of thread through all my work, here at the Loneliness Guy is that social media, however it is not in itself evil, is not wrong. You know, sometimes we need to remember that we're the product that social media is selling rather than us consuming. But when we're feeling lonely, when we feel like we are the only man who has ever thought these thoughts, felt these feelings, and been in this situation, social media can be a really good place for support.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but at the end of it all, we are where we are.
Yeah,
and we can't live virtually.
No, we can't.
No. Yeah, it is. You know, the social media apps, be they fitness, Instagram, Facebook, a hookup app, as I spoke about with Michael Diorio in the previous episode. You know, they can be powerful means of connection, but they're means to an end. They are not the connection in and of themselves. So you shared in the blog post about being in the gym and being in your happy place.
Yeah.
And that being the place where you realized, or you had that realization that, you know, your happy place was kind of, well, was not.
Yeah.
And your happy place actually became the place of reckoning. Can you explain that a little?
When I realised that, you know, most of this life that I was living at that point, and you know, when I was blissfully happy, and I don't mean any disrespect to the virtual, the actual life I was living, you know, because I was happy, you know, I was, you know, in a bizarre kind of way, I guess. But when I was in the gym and I was on a fitness app that I found so helpful, I was really happy. I was happy, and you know, being able to speak with people and compare notes and stuff like that, it was really great. And when I decided, I guess, that this was not right, or whatever that light switch moment was, whatever, and it ended, or by my own choosing, I fell apart. I absolutely fell apart, and you know, I sobbed. I sat in the middle of my massive gym that I created and I loved, and it was just no longer happy for me. It was a realization that was just irreparable. And I didn't know how to deal with it. It was all just mentally just came crashing down.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
It was horrible. You know, as I said in the blog post, all I could do was, you know, find a way to pull myself out of it, which, you know, fortunately I did. And you know, I cut ties with friends that I had made, but I think all of this was due to myself not wanting to admit the truth about myself. So, you know, yeah. I knew where it was going. In my mind, I knew what this was leading to, and I wasn't ready for that. And I think the only way I could close all that down and live my life that was not meant for me was to shut all that down and hide it all and continue to go on, living the life that I was living.
How does that feel?
There's a lot of emotion in that. There's a lot of anger towards myself. There's a lot of relief to be able to say. There's a lot of guilt. There's betrayal. There's a lot to unpack there. I feel like for me, it's kind of like selfish in a way, but liberating. I don't know. It's a difficult one to explain.
Yeah. I'm perfectly fine with paradoxes, with two, perfectly opposite things equally applicable at the same time. I'm like, life is a paradox. So I'm sitting here just like nodding, going, yeah. Because one of the things that's coming up for me right now is and reflecting on my own lived experience here, and reflecting on your words and your really powerful share here, Andrew, was like the cycle of denying, the denial, the abstinence, the trying again, doing better next time. And it would work for a little while. And then it would come up again. At some point in the future. And there was, for me, there was the I could see your words just then, like I could see, I can't agree more, like within myself I could see where this was going. But I really didn't want to go there at all. Actually, that sort of cycle of denial, that cycle of, promising myself that I would do better. What are you feeling, with that kind of sort of that treatment of yourself through that?
I don't want to answer a question with a question, but can I please ask you one?
Of course.
Did you ever feel as though it was just like some psychological problem that you had to get over? Because I certainly, I like, it was almost become, and I hate using this word because I don't think it's, it can be difficult, I guess. Maybe not relevant in this area, but it was like an addiction. And it was, I likened to a very, very dear friend of mine, my best mate actually, who struggles with a few things, and it has become an addiction. It's an addiction. And I just kind of went, why can't you just stop? Just stop. Just don't do it anymore. You know, and then I started to think and reflect on myself and go, hang on, am I the same? Is this an addiction? Is this what it is? Like I would tell myself, okay, reset. You're not doing that anymore. You can go to the gym, but you don't need to open. Just reset, refocus, and redo it all. And and I did it for a day or two.
It was awesome for a day.
But then what happens is you just go, oh no, but I'll just see who's online, and I'll just see. So that's what it becomes. And it wasn't. I don't believe it was an addiction to the app. I don't believe that at all. It was the addiction to fitting in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Belonging.
Yep. Certainly for me, it was a place.
So you felt that,
yeah. Yes. It was like the app was just the tool, the vehicle. And for me, the addiction was very much the place to be seen, and not to be seen, but to have a part of me, allow a part of me to be seen. And I was carefully controlling that, what I would allow myself to be seen. And but it was a place where I could be heard. I could put voice to words, thoughts, and feelings. I could, but yeah, it was a place where I felt like I was addicted to the sense of belonging. And it came at a time when I was starting to learn that I was lonely.
Mm.
You know, I was living in Korea at the time, and, you know, doing a very big job, an important job, that had me working a lot, you know, doing some, you know, pretty cool things that I like doing. But I wasn't being me. I wasn't being seen. I wasn't, you know, wasn't being seen for me. And this was an outlet where I could be.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, you know, for you know, the viewer, the listener who's joining us for this chat, who might still be in the closet, might be in a marriage, and wrestling with the thoughts and feelings that they that they might be gay, or somewhere on the rainbow spectrum. That I wonder if they have a place online as well, where they feel that they can belong, you know, engaged through, you know, a pseudonym, an avatar, and, you know, feel that they've found their place. And that can be incredibly powerful, but, and at the end of it, we, as you say, close down the phone, and there we are.
Yeah, exactly. Mm.
That's, yeah, I think that's actually, you know, really an important place, because if we are in the closet,
yeah,
in a marriage, the truth will out.
Yes.
And yeah, and it will come up in some way. You know, you squeeze the air in a balloon, the air still goes somewhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's, I'm saying that without judgment. That's actually okay. But what you shared in your blog post about actually, you know, that, well, the breakdown. And I want to say this really clearly, because when I was coming out, when I was in a similar place in my story, I read something from Tim Ferriss,
mm-hmm.
who said, is this a breakdown or is it a breakthrough? Because I can feel the same. And I'm like, damn you, Tim Ferriss, stop being so right. But yeah, it was one of the things that sort of spoke to me, that felt like the universe sort of saying, you know, that this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Was it a breakdown or a breakthrough for you?
That's an exceptionally good question.
Let's credit Tim Ferriss for that one.
I think it was a break. Maybe it started as a breakdown.
Yeah.
Which led to the breakthrough. I don't know how to answer that one. That's a tricky one to answer.
Yeah. Again, paradox.
Yeah, I do feel as though at that time, like if I think back to it, that was hitting rock bottom. I actually felt like at that point I had hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And the only way from there is up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I know she's not necessarily, well, she's not a friend of the trans community at all because of her stated views. J.K. Rowling said of her experience and what led her to create Harry Potter was the end of a marriage, essentially homeless, with a daughter who needed feeding and an idea and an old typewriter.
Yeah.
And she has shared in an oft viewed video on YouTube, I think it was like a commencement speech at some university, either in the UK or in the US, about how rock bottom becomes the solid foundation for what's built.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. If I hark back to what I was saying when I was sitting in that gym before I made the decision that I was going to do this and thought about everything that I'm going to lose, I was, that was the realization that I had these things that I didn't want to lose and what have you. But then when in actuality you realize that what you have is so strong around you, and I didn't lose my family, I didn't lose my business, I didn't lose my friends, I didn't just hold my seconds.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
Yeah. So there was the point of the breakdown, breakthrough.
Yes, and I realised that I don't think I lost much at all. I think there was obviously some very near and dear people that shifted. I think it was a side shift. I don't think I lost them. Essentially, I don't think I have, and I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
But there was just a shift, and and I remember, when I publicly came out, because I did come out and it was very private. I didn't feel the need to do it publicly. But when I did, because of it became circumstantial, unfortunately, and I did do that. I just remember almost being crippled with fear of going outside. What will people say? What will people do? All this type of thing. And when I realised, what, the sun still rose each day, and people have their birthdays, and the rain still, everything was still the same, and that was great for me. And I actually had one person say to me, and it will stick with me forever, Andrew, yes, you know what? You're today's news. Do you know what? Tomorrow it's somebody else's turn.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me, because it was such a simple thing to say, but it really stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah, they're talking about me today. 6 months on, you know what? I'm just Andrew.
Yeah. I equate it, like my coming out, as part of the process of becoming Phil.
Yeah.
Who happens to be gay.
Yeah.
If I was to rewind, just over 2 years ago now, when I came out, it was, being gay was something that I knew was in myself, was part of myself, wasn't all of myself. But yeah, it's that, Phil is gay, and that, full stop, that's it. He's not also, he's funny, he's smart, he loves the shit out of you, once you're in the tribe kind of thing. And, all the other things that I am, a great dad, hopefully, if the boys are listening. But I am a great dad, and just a thoroughly good human. But one thing there is that came up for me as you were sharing that, and I often have said this, that in the process of coming out to people, if I haven't been accepted, then they've come out to me as not being worthy of me.
Yeah.
Because I am worthy.
Yeah.
I have finally accepted who I am.
Yeah.
And while I put myself out there and, want people to accept it, I can't. Not everyone's going to accept it, except me. I can't expect other people to accept me. And, there have been people who, have been very important at various stages in my life, who, I have been very close to, who have gone, no.
Yeah.
Not said that, but their actions have done that.
Well, it's very similar to, the conversation you had with Michael in your previous chat.
Yeah.
Some people just don't like you, and you
Yeah.
don't like people, and some people don't like gay people. And whilst we sit here and go, oh, how can you not like a gay person? That's so wrong. Homophobia is wrong. But some people just don't, and you can't change that, I guess. So there's don't waste energy trying. You accept me or you don't, and if you don't, then off you go.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The thing, right?
Yeah. In this whole thing, like life, so yeah, use your words, Phil. What I'm getting from you is, well, I want to ask one last, two more things, but one question at this point is how long really what did it take for you to get to that point of being ready to open Pandora's box, realizing that tipping point between the present and the future, and the risks of the present outweighing the risks of the future? Just a small question there.
Very good question.
I do what I do.
Well, I am almost 43. I know, shocked and stunned by the way I look. So if we think back to those adolescent years where you may feel that you might be a little bit different. I'll use that word loosely, that you might be a bit different. But to the point where I was sitting there at the gym and I thought, these are the things that I could lose, and this is my truth, this is my reality that I need to go forward with. I think it might have been about I reckon 6 to 8 months. 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
I think. But that's from that point, sitting on that lap pull down at the gym that day, going, I have to do this. This is going to be my future, and I have to do it. About 6 to 12 months. But the one thing that and I apologise in advance, I guess. The one thing that I said that I would never do is say at what age I felt that I was gay. And I am all about being open and honest these days, because that's who I am, and I want to be. You live so many years of your life not being so honest. That's all I want to do now, is be open and honest with everybody. But that's the one question that I won't answer, and the only reason I won't do that is because I don't ever want my ex-wife to feel as though I betrayed her, or sorry, I get a bit emotional with that. I don't ever want her to think that there was no genuine commitment or love there.
Yeah.
Because there definitely most genuine was. There was. So that's the only question that I'll never answer. I think as a gay man yourself, and any other gay man or gay person listening, they know the answer to that question.
Yeah. For me, that's yes. Yeah, I don't ever want to disrespect my former wife, and she knows that I would not change a moment of
Absolutely.
our relationship. And I shared on a podcast a few weeks ago with the Gay Men's Brotherhood my coming out story, and I felt like I'd taken a perfectly good relationship, and taken it out the back and shot it.
Yeah.
And there's a whole kind of process, and my own kind of breakthrough moments over a few years. And we navigated it in a way that, was never fun, never easy, never comfortable. But we navigated it from a place of knowing that we love each other.
Yeah.
And we still want to be in each other's lives and in each other's corners, and allowing that to evolve again. And, knowing that, there is anger, there is hurt, there is, loss, grief on all counts, on all sides, that needs to be worked through.
Yeah.
I knew, or suspected, didn't really want it to be from like when I was in year 9, when I was 14. And and it was, and ironically, that some gay friends that I have now are like, well, how could you not do it? I was like, you haven't met her. You haven't met her. She's simply one of the best humans.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted more of her in my life. Like, I love her.
Yeah.
And it's okay with being in, sitting with a paradox.
Yeah.
And also in that episode, I shared, with my own story, like, the relationship that I have now, with Jeff, and being me, the light, the dark, the good, the bad, who I am with someone, and, from a place of worth. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then all of us, all 5 of us, and, I'm going to be critically assessing, the guy who comes into Soph's life. I'll be like, are you good enough? Are you good enough?
Yeah.
And, welcoming someone into our whānau, Maori for family, and sort of that we're creating. So life evolves.
It does.
And which then gets me to my last question. What's your advice for someone, for the man who's listening, who goes, wow, this has actually been such a great chat, but it could never be me. I'm going to start another cycle of denial, doing better, but someone who feels like we did. What's your advice?
I would never tell them for a start, because they have to do what's right for them. Listen to yourself. Do what's right for you, but understand that there's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong, and it's perfectly fine. And live your life the way you want to do it. But listen to yourself. Yeah. Don't hide away. Don't shy away. Don't make yourself invisible or irrelevant, because you are perfectly perfect as you are. And let people see you, because they're going to like you or they're not. That's it. Just be you.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Powerful. Brilliant.
I think yeah, that's just be the person you are, and know that you're worthy. Just know it. Believe in yourself.
Yeah. yeah, that concept of worthiness is so important.
I have a friend of mine who struggles with a lot of things, and it is a lot of it is, well, was probably stemmed from being a closeted gay male, and he's had a lot of struggles, and all I constantly say to him is, "You're loved, and you're worthy." That's all you need to know is you're loved and you're worthy, and you know what? Spread your wings and soar.
Yeah, yeah. I will sort of say this observation, because I don't want to sort of bring something in sort of at this late stage of our chat, because that was brilliant. That was brilliant. But what you just said in like letting ourselves soar, for those of you, if you're listening or watching this and you don't happen to have the privilege of being Australian, one of the things that we, like the cultural soup that we swim in Australia, and being Australian men, is that you at once aspire to be part of the group and aspire to be seen in the right way. And the concept of letting your light shine sounds great, but we kind of want to edit where the light goes, because we don't want it to go everywhere where, and be seen as the tall poppy or whatever it is. And so we kind of want to be seen enough. And it's this constant impossible tightrope that we walk. It's impossibly thin. It's a strand of hair that we walk on, but we do it, and we're expected to do it.
Yeah.
And so goes to courage, of spreading your wings and flying, letting your light shine, whatever, the positive message is. For those of you who aren't in Australia, I just feel like I need to explain that sort of the cultural environment that message comes from, and that both Andrew and I sort of just know intuitively. So if you're listening in the UK or Canada or the US or anywhere else in the world, like just know that that at once is inspiring and the truth, but in itself bloody terrifying for us. Yeah, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Andrew Reid, I thank you so very much for being so generous with your story. So
no problem at all. I feel like we went off a little bit.
No. We went exactly where we needed to go.
No, well, exactly. It's conversation over coffee, and that's what it is. And so I feel very privileged to be able to speak with you, Phil, and share just a snippet of me and my story. So thank you for allowing me.
Thank you so much for being just a beautiful, beautiful human, and sharing just sharing some space with us. It's just been a privilege and an honor. And in expressing this gratitude, I do want to say that it's just like, I know that either immediately after listening to this, or someone somewhere at some point in the future will be listening to this, like something would have brought them here to listen to this. And this is going to help.
Yeah.
This is going to help.
It will happen.
Yeah. Okay. Listener, viewer, in wrapping this up, I want to say that if any of the content that was raised was challenging for you, please do reach out for help. On my website, I have a resources page with a list of crisis support for people, and specifically for LGBTIQ plus communities. And I'm always wanting to add more to that list. But if you think that I can help, if you think that you want to reach out to me, please do reach out to me on socials, on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube if you'd like. Also send me an email, connect@thelonelinessguy.com. And if you like this episode, or if you've got some feedback for me, please reach out. If you want to have a chat, please do. And Andrew's on social media, and if okay with you, I can put your Instagram handle on this. But that's all we've got time for today. I want to say, just Andrew, how much I just love and appreciate you so much, and for sharing this story. It's simply brilliant.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
And until we catch up over coffee in a couple of weeks' time, stay safe, stay kind, stay awesomely you, and I'll see you next time.